There we go. Now I got the mic on. There we go. Welcome everybody. Glad you can make it. Let me get something figured out real quick. And we should be pretty close to ready to go. There we go. Now I got the mic on. There we go. Welcome everybody. Glad you can make it. Alright, let me just get things figured out. Just triple checking that the stream is working. And we should be pretty close to ready to go. So if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. That is fantastic of you to be here. Oh, let me mute that so it doesn't quadruple echo. And we will get started here in a second. We'll wait for a few more people to get here. And sorry about the echo. I didn't realize it was going again and again and again. And woot. Yeah. Okay, let me reload this real quick. Cool. And welcome everybody to the stream. I'm excited to get this thing going and share some tips about video editing. It's something that I don't think a lot of people know about. I mean, they know of it, but they don't really understand how it's done. So, I'm excited to shed a little light on the subject and get things rolling along with other people and maybe get them interested in filmmaking. So, we'll wait just maybe a minute longer. I'm going to make one more quick announcement video or photo. No, never mind, scratch that. I am just going to go real quick and link this up. Let's copy that. Go here. And go here. And link that. And get that there. And a few more seconds. And we'll get into this. So go ahead and let me know in the chat if you have any starting questions that we could start off with. If not, I will just begin with some of the basic things of the software that I use and my basic flow of video editing. And let's see. Cool. All right, 5 minutes in, and let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everybody. Welcome. You now can see my pretty face. This is going to be more talking than I usually do, so I might be drinking quite a bit of water, which I should probably mute as I do, so you don't hear my gulping and all that fun and interesting sounding stuff. Oh, would you look at that? My screen is live. Totally forgot about that part. Okay, cool. Luckily it wasn't anything too weird. Okay. So, welcome. Oh, let me get in here. Welcome, everybody. This is DaVinci Resolve. So let's come back into here. So just to start things off, the software that I use is DaVinci Resolve 16. It is the latest version. And one of the most awesome things about this software is that it is free. So if you're even a little bit interested in editing video, DaVinci Resolve is free. There is a paid version that gives you a little bit more features and more flexibility, but yeah, it's free. So there's no reason to not be able to video edit it. Also, there are different types of things, different apps here in Windows, if you have Windows, like this right here, the video editor. It is a simple, just tile-based, really. You just choose a tile, lay down the tile where in order you want it to go, and it goes ahead and links it up for you. And you can do different things such as trim it, split it, add some text, add some motion, 3D effects. These are pretty cool. You can add different atomic things that are special effects, different things that are fancy, and that gets you going. So pretty simple. And let's see. So that one I haven't messed around too much with. I have done a few tests. But yeah, that's a nice and easy way, and user-friendly. It's pretty user-friendly in getting just a simple edit done with a simple story. And yeah. So let's go back into DaVinci Resolve, and I'll go through some of the things that I've been working on recently. I'm actually going to go through and go to this one. This was a short sketch that I did a few months ago, or yeah, a month or two ago. And did it with my friend Jordan. He's awesome, and he was very helpful. Also, his brother helped me out. And I'll go through and kind of show you how I did some of the editing. Sorry, that's probably really loud typing. And it's been a while since I've typed for a long time, so my typing is rough and slow. Oh, there you go. First question. All right, you got a first question. So how long does it take to how long on average does it take you to create a video from beginning to end? That is a great question, and the answer is it really depends. It depends on how long you need the final edit to be, the final video, and it also depends on the quality of the footage that you get and how organized that footage is. For example, over here are the clips that I used for this short film that I made with my friend, and we basically just went through and shot all the shots in order that we needed to, and got any inserts and stuff afterwards. So for example, we just started off with getting the shots of his little brother so that we could so that he could go home and we could finish the rest of the things that didn't need him. So with all of these clips in order, sorry, that was just really jumbled thoughts. Just to answer your question concisely, let's say, I don't quite remember this edit, but man, why can't I think of what I'm trying to say? Okay. I think this edit took me a few hours the first night that I started editing it after we shot, and then maybe an hour or 2 in the morning to finish it off. So I'd say about 4, maybe 5 hours. Really depends on, like I said before, the type of video, the length of the video, and the organization of your footage. If we go to a different project, like this one that I just shot for a city, their Christmas event, it took me about maybe two hours, roughly, and then a second draft took me an hour to go through and fix some things up. So about 3 hours. The video is just under a minute long. It's 55 seconds long, and it took me about 3 hours. So I think there is like a base statistic from from other filmmakers. It's like an hour or 2 per 20 seconds of video, of finished video. So there are different types of there are different factors that affect the time that it takes. So that was a very long-winded answer, but hopefully it was somewhat helpful. So let me go ahead and run over some of the basics of an editing software, and because I've just been going all over the place in this thing without explaining what any of it is. So starting off, the first thing you need to do is obviously film the event that you want to film, or film whatever you want to shoot. And once you have that footage, you can come over here, at least in this software. Other softwares are a little bit different in how they manage the media or the video files that you shoot. But in DaVinci Resolve, you can just come over here to the media page, which is this bottom one, and media page, there we go. And you just go through and find which drive or which hard drive you want to pull the footage from, and then you can go through and find the footage that you want, and then you drag it into the project, which is down here. And then once you have that, you can divide it into different folders. Say you have folders of Santa, video shots of Santa, you could put them in one folder. Shots of reindeer, you could put them in another folder, and different things like that. You can just throw pretty much anywhere, and that in its own folder, or you can just leave it in the master folder. Then from there, you can come over to the edit page, and all of that media that you selected, all those files, will show up over here in the media pool. And these are all the clips that you selected. So once you have all those things, you're going to come down here, and this down here, this is your timeline. And with this timeline, this is basically a sequential order of different layers of footage. Hold on just a second. I had some music that I was playing earlier. Let me know if the music is too loud, and oh wow, too loud. And I can't, oh my gosh, I did it again. And I can turn it down. So, let's see. Yeah, for now, I won't listen to the music, but I'll let you guys listen to it. And so, like I was talking, this is your timeline, a sequential order of the files that you select, and basically different layers. So let's go ahead and pick up, let's go ahead and paste this clip. This is a clip that I filmed just based on... Whoa. Okay, never mind. That was just the song. I thought something was glitching out. Okay, so this is the first clip, and we can go through and we can play the clip. And let me get to the whole clip. Oh, that's just that one. Okay, let me come here, and we'll go from here to there, and that is our clip. So we have the video up here on this layer and the audio down below. So this is the layer that will be underneath everything that is on top of it. So let's say we wanted to put something on top of it. We just get that other clip and we drag it in and place it on top. Now, as you can see over here in the viewer, this is the one that's showing up because that is the clip that is on top. So once you have the clip that you want on top, then that's the one that's going to be showing up. So for example, if we come back over here, a little bit further back in the timeline, we have the clip that is underneath, but then the other one pops up on top. So you just go along with different layers and the different order of the clips that you want. So you can, for example, here's the clips and they're full length. So I can also move it to the end so that at the end of the first clip, it'll just go to the second clip. And that's how you make a sequential order. I feel like the music is too loud, but it's just loud on my headphones. But let me know if it's fine in the chat. Hopefully it's all right. So that is the basic of timeline editing. And you can also add different transitions between clips. With a keyboard shortcut that I have set up is Control-T, which will add a transition, a simple fade transition to the next one, like so. And very simple. Also, you can come in here in DaVinci Resolve to the effects library, and there are a bunch of different effects that you can choose from. There's different dissolves, different shape transitions that are kind of cheesy but work, and just a bunch of different options that you can choose from. And that's just the gist of it. So if we go and let's say we want to add some music to our shot, all we have to do is go into our media tab again, or you can drag the file from your Windows Explorer and just drag it into the project, and it will go into the project. So already for this project, I've chosen this song right here, Christmas Wish, and that is the song that I've chosen for the other ones. So what I can do is just bring it in here and drag it on a new layer. And now it'll just pop up as a new audio layer, and that's basically it. With audio, it doesn't really matter which one's on top, because they're both going to be heard. It's more of a hearing thing versus a visual thing. And so we have that on the bottom, and it doesn't really matter which layer it's on. But now that adds a nice, let's see. Okay, we got our second question, which I will get to in a second. Sorry, I had to turn off the music so that you could hear the playback of the clip. So now we have this song. And if we come in here, then, yep. So now we have a song. We can delete it if we want to, change it. Here I have some sleigh bells. And we can also put the song underneath it, and we'll hear both layers. So with audio, it's kind of cool that everything is heard. With video, only the thing on the top is what is seen. So let's go ahead and move on to the next question. Can you edit the levels of the shot in this software, i.e. the brightness, contrast, etc.? Yes, you can. So in this software, it is really simple. And in fact, this software, DaVinci Resolve, is what is used by lots of professional movie studios. So a lot of studios in Hollywood and wherever use this software to finish off their editing with colors and lighting. So here in DaVinci Resolve, we'll go ahead and come down here to the bottom and come over to the color page. And this brings up a few tools that are useful for us in changing the value or the brightness and the contrast and the saturation of our shots. So, for example, this shot is a shot that I filmed in what is called a film profile, meaning that it doesn't have very much color, it doesn't pop a lot, but it has a lot of embedded information in the footage. So we can go in and take that image and make it more colorful and make it so it pops. So over here on the bottom left, we have the controls that will allow us to do the basic corrections and also advanced corrections of our shot. So here we have lift, gamma, gain, and offset. Now those are kind of fancy words, but basically they just mean the level of the shadows, level of the midtones, and level of the highlights. So, for example, lift will affect the dark parts of the image. So, if you can see, I can bring up the dark parts, and I can also make the dark parts darker, like so. Whereas before, they were like that, and now they're like that, a little bit darker. Now gamma affects the midtones, or the things that are not dark but not super bright. So things that are like brown or dark green like this maybe, and some of the plate and maybe the hot chocolate that's getting poured into the cup. So we'll go ahead, and since those are pretty dark, we'll go ahead and drag those up, and those parts of the image will get brighter. Now the gain is all of the highlights in the image, and so it'll brighten up the cup, probably some of the tablecloth, all the brighter parts of the image. So we'll go ahead and bump those up as well. And since doing that, some of the shadows came up a little bit, got a little bit brighter, I'll go ahead and darken those a little bit more. So now we have an image that's has more contrast and doesn't look quite so flat. And so then also over here in the left, you can change the saturation and different things like that. So down here we have sat, which is saturation, and let's go ahead and crank that up a little bit, and as you can see, the colors have gotten more vibrant. So the color, like for example the red, and let me go here just a second. So that's before adding more saturation and after more saturation. So like the red, the green, they all got more saturated, and it looks more like they do in real life. So that is the basic of brightening or darkening an image. And also, let's go over offset real quick. Offset basically just takes the whole image and brightens it or darkens it. Now, you don't want to go too far, or too far in either direction or too far off of what your footage originally looks like, because you will start to get this stuff right here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on a YouTube stream, but it's kind of colorful and noisy. That's what is called noise. And the more you brighten an image, the more visible noise is. So when you're filming, if you shoot something and it's too dark from the camera and you try and brighten it up, it will get really noisy because there's not information there, so it just tries to invent it, make it up. Like over here in the shadow, there's splotches everywhere. That's because we tried to brighten up the shadows past where it is usable. So that's why you want to get it looking good in camera, so that editing is more simple, and so that you don't have to have a noisy image. So that is that. That is offset, just up and down, basically. So I hope that answers your question. And you can do a lot of things with this. Just something real quick that is pretty cool about DaVinci Resolve, and other softwares have this too, is you can go in and you can select a certain color. Let's say I want to select that red. I selected the red. I'm going to come in here, select the red again. And here we have what is called hue versus hue. So what that does is it selects the color that you choose, and then it can change that color to a different color. So I've selected that red, and let's say I want to change it to pink. Now everything that in the image that was red is now pink. Now if I keep going up, it turns blue, or purple. There's blue. And if I go the other way, I can change it to green, and stuff like that. So it can be useful for some things. It also makes other things look really weird. So, I mean, it can be useful, like I said, for some things. It just depends on what you're doing. And then also you can change the saturation of certain colors as well. So let's reset that one and come into here. Here I've selected, let's select this green on the cup. So that green showed up right here when I clicked on it, and I can take that green and saturate it a bunch. It's not very apparent because it's kind of dark, but you can kind of see that the colors are shifting. Anyway, that's some of the basic of what is called color grading. So you start off with the footage that is dull and flat like this, and color grade it to look like this, or whatever you choose. And yeah, so that is the basic of brightening, adding more contrast, colors, and different things like that. Another time we'll get into more of what these wheels with the colors mean, and that's more of advanced stuff. So let's move on to the next question, which is, let's see. The next question is, why would you add different video layers rather than having only one? How many layers can you do? That is a good question. So let's go over that. So one of the reasons that you would want to have, so what I'm understanding the question is since only the first one on top, only the top layer shows up, why would you have anything underneath it? And basically, it just depends on it really depends on how you want to work. So for example, I could take this clip and come here and delete everything that is underneath this layer, because that's the only layer that's showing up. And I could just take out that, making it the only layer there. And I could do that. and it just still plays back the same like it would if I had the full clip down here below. But if I wanted that clip to be there, then it just doesn't change much. But here's when the different layers come into play. So let's go here to this clip with the North Pole and come over here to our inspector where we can modify what this, like the shape and the size of this clip. So let's come here and do zoom. Let's zoom out the top clip. So this top layer is now smaller than its original size, making it so that everything behind it is also visible. And then you can come over here and change the different positions of it, and you can do like a corner element like this and different things like that. You can put it anywhere you want, any size that you want. Another reason that you would want it is to have, what you can do is you can change the opacity or how much you can see through the top image or the image, and you can kind of blend the two so that they play together kind of like that. And you can also change how it does it. There's different ways of compositing it, which just means layering and getting the layers to work together, basically. So that's one of the reasons that you would want multiple layers. Let's go to another example. Here I have some footage from my VR headset that I made and that I posted a little bit ago. And so here we have the different layers of that project. So let's go through the different layers. Here I have, let's see. So this one is just an image, and I just have it over here in the corner. It is on the top layer because I don't want it to be underneath anything else, because then it won't show up on top. So it is on top because I want it to be on top, and that allows it to be visible here. Now let's say if I wanted to, if I put it down at the bottom, it would change some of the different settings that I've made for it. And so let me move that back. Also, let's see if I can find another example. Okay, yes. Here is another example. Going back to the previous project that we were just on, let me show you this part right here. This is something that's kind of complicated and advanced, but here I have this clip on top, which is the one that's showing up right here, and one underneath that starts a little bit of a ways in. And what I've done is I've gone along and I've trimmed along this lady's body as it goes along, allowing the bottom layer to be visible. So that is a way that you can add transitions from one shot to the next shot. That is something that's pretty complicated. It's just kind of a mask that goes along and makes the part that is in here invisible so that the thing beneath it is visible. So that's a neat way to kind of transition from one shot to another, if that's what you're going for. So this kind of ties into the next question. Is that how you do a transition? Yes. And yeah, you can do transitions like that. It is also, it is a common way that I do transitions. What I really like about DaVinci Resolve, let's come into here, and don't save. Come back into this side down. let's just look at, see if I can find, okay, here's a few transitions. So what I really like about DaVinci Resolve is that on every clip in your timeline, there are these little white triangles at the top. And these are basically fade-ins and fade-outs. So let's take, for example, this clip right here. So we have this clip of the microwave that from the beginning just plays like that. But let's say I wanted to make it fade in a little bit. What I can do is just take this corner and drag it over, and that's kind of a confusing shot to do it on. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, let's do this one. So here, oh, that's also a where can I find one? Yeah, I'll just use the beginning shot. So this is the very beginning of the clip, but I don't want it to just start like that, like a hard start. I want it to fade in. So I just drag the corner in, and that adds a gradual dissolve in, fade in. And that is one of my favorite things about DaVinci that other software don't have, is the ability to just drag the corner and add a fade. And you can drag it however long you want, and it'll work. Also, what you can do to do a transition is you can come in here and click on the border of two clips, and my keyboard shortcut is Control-T, which adds the default transition, which is just a simple crossfade, meaning it'll just fade between the two shots. So once it loads, maybe, computer, come on. Okay, it does. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Why does it not want to play? That's really weird. I don't know why it's... There it goes. So just a simple crossfade between the two. That is just the basic transition there. Now let's try a different transition. Let's come over here to Effects, Video Transitions, and let's try one that is, let's just do barn door. So I can take that, click it, drag it, and place it where I want it, and that will add a simple barn door effect. Like so. I don't know why it's going so slow. But that is... Wow, what is happening? There, just like that. Okay, I don't know what my computer is doing. But that's the basic idea of transitions. So you can just drag whichever transition you want, or just use your default, which is selected right here. And you can also set a standard, or I can set this one as standard if I want any of these transitions to be my keyboard shortcut. So that is how you do a transition. And like this one is right here, you can, once again, that's not a good example. Okay, let me come to this one. You can also use it to fade from one shot to the next. It's basically the same as having them right next to each other, but it just fades in the one on top. So that's how you do a transition. And it's pretty simple. So let's go ahead and move on. Let me know if those answered your questions. Go ahead and post in the chat. We'll take a quick quick breather right here, and let's see. Let's get some conversation going up in the chat. I mean, you kind of all know each other. But if you have any more questions, go ahead and post them, and I will I will contemplate them, and then we can go over them in a minute or so after a quick breather. Cool. Alright, I know what we're going to talk about next. Okay, got your question. Cool. We got 2 more questions, and we will get to those. I'll try and keep this stream to maybe an hour, so about 15 minutes more, depending on the amount of questions and people watching. Let's see. Okay, so the questions that have been asked in the chat are, can you draw a line in your video? For example, add a circle. Okay, sorry, got distracted. Okay, we got another question as well. So, the few questions that we have, like I was saying, and then I got distracted. Can you draw a line in your video? For example, on a picture, draw a circle on something. We'll get to that. And the other question is, do you lay out your A roll first and then B roll, or edit start to finish, or some other method? We'll get to that as well. And another question that I received by other means is, what has been my favorite video to edit so far? Alright, let's cover the Shaky video real quick, that I think is cool and pretty essential. So we'll go over that real quick. So, getting back into things, what do you do if your footage is shaky? So, first off, let me find some footage that is shaky, which I have plenty of, because that's just sometimes how it is. Let's see. Let's try and find one that's fairly shaky. Which like I said, I know I have one somewhere. I just need to find it. Why can I not find? Okay, we'll just use this one. Okay. So let's go ahead and come over here in some free space. We'll get this clip over here. And as you can see, it's not super shaky, but it does have some wobble in it. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and come over here. There's a few ways of doing this. Wow, I can't talk. So let's come over here, click on the clip, then come over here into the inspector, scroll down a little bit, and there's stabilization. So double click on that and it will open this little menu, and you can just stabilize it right off or choose a different method of stabilization. What these kind of do is, for perspective, what it'll do is it'll analyze the clip and kind of see, it'll stabilize it this way in this plane, and also kind of 3D like this. It can add some weird warping and distortion on the edges sometimes, just depends on how shaky the footage is. Or the other one that I use is translation, which just keeps it on this plane of stabilization. So let's go ahead, and this one's not too shaky, so perspective should work. So I'll just go ahead and hit stabilize, and it will go through and analyze it. Takes my computer a second to get going, and then it should go pretty quick. So it analyzes it, and then it'll stabilize it like that. So now we can come here, and as you can see, it is not as shaky as it was before. You can turn off the stabilization. Here's before and stabilized. So you can see that it adds, or that it stabilizes it and takes out a bunch of the jitter, or some of the wobble. So that's just the basic of stabilizing footage if you have shaky footage. Alright, let's move on to the next question. Can you draw a line in your video, for example on a picture or on a clip? Let's go ahead and get this clip. One of these has me walking in it. Okay. So, I'll get this one, bring that into my timeline, and let me come over here and just do some basic correction and get it a little bit more colorful. And, whoa, okay, not that one. Okay, there we go. Actually, sorry, that music's probably kind of loud. Get that turned down for you. Okay, so that's doesn't look too great, but that's just basic correction. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come down here to the Fusion page. This is a page where you can do a whole bunch of special effects and different things. So we'll get this organized a little bit. So along here are a bunch of tools that we have. They're not all of the tools that we have, but they are some of the ones that we can use. And also, if you hit Shift Space, it will bring up the entire tool list, which has things from changing the color to things like adding fog and fireworks and different things like that. So this is the most complicated page in DaVinci Resolve, but it is, I'm not an expert at it by any means, but let's just go over the basic painting that was requested. So over here on our main toolbar we have paint. So what we'll do is we'll come over here, drag this down, hold space, or not space, hold shift, and that'll bring it onto our pipeline, and it'll insert it in between these two. So basically what we have down here is we have the original clip without anything happening to it. And then anything that happens along this line on its way to media out will affect the clip. So here we have paint, and that is on this line, in this pipeline of effects and different things. So this will be affecting the shot because it leads to media out. So we go ahead and click on the paint. These are called nodes. So hit the paint node, and then basically we just can come over here to our apply controls, and we can apply basically this. What does this look like? A paint can. Just looks like a paint can that we can draw. And also you can come over here, clone things. I'm not sure how that one works exactly, but you just go through and find out which one you want to use, and then you can change the color. There's red. Anyway, there's any color you want. And let's see, paintbrush size. Oh yes, up here at the top of this window, you can change the type of brush. So if you want to draw, I've used this one before, but I don't quite remember. Anyway, it's just something you kind of gotta go mess around with. Let's see, size. Stroke controls, there we go. So now my paintbrush is this small. Say I want a bigger brush. Now, it did not change. Oh boy, there it goes. That is weird. Okay. So yeah, like I said, I'm not an expert at this, but you should be. Oh, brush controls. There we go. Brush controls, size, right there. That'll change the size of your brush. And if you want to do different shapes, maybe, you can come over here to rectangle or whatever shape you want, and it will add a rectangle, and then you can come in and actually that's probably not the best way of doing it. Let's come back into the paint tool here, rectangle. There I can take a rectangle and add a rectangle. So that's how you do that. So I hope that's made it, or I hope I explained it simple enough. Basically, like I said, anything in between the media in and out will affect the clip, and you can put however many of these things you want. You can do multiple branches and just a whole bunch of things. But that's the basic gist of it. And also the basic of the paintbrush. And that's that. Hope that answered your question. Actually, there was also a circle. So yeah, if you wanted to do a circle, you could do a circle. Cool. Moving on to the next question. Do you lay out your A-roll first and then B-roll, or edit start to finish, or some other method? That is a good question. So A-roll is what he means by A-roll is the main footage. So for example, let's come to this one. So this shot has a bunch of A-roll and B-roll. This one's really A cam and B camera because I had two cameras going. So Yeah. Where was I going with this? So yeah, I just have it switching back and forth between the main camera and the secondary camera at an angle. So that's not really A-roll and B-roll. But I guess it kind of is. So A-roll is the main footage, and B-roll is anything that goes on top of that footage. For example, if you were talking about something and you wanted to show another clip of that something in the video, then you put that on top and it is your B-roll because it is secondary to your A-roll. Like you're talking about it, and then you can put just the image on top and you can continue hearing your voice and stuff like that while the B-roll goes on top. Also, just if you have different things, different shots like beauty shots or different things like this, then those are commonly referred to as B-roll. Just the shots that kind of are cinematic and kind of tell stories, I guess you could say. So this is considered B-roll because it, in some ways, or in most ways, it is secondary to everything that came before it. So I could have my A-roll going on beneath this layer, and that would be my A-roll if I were talking or explaining what was happening in this footage, while the B-roll that you're seeing right now could be playing on top. And now how I do it is I usually just do things from beginning to end. It just depends on what I'm editing. If I'm editing something that has a certain layout of how I do it every single time, then I'll go through and do just the base edit. Say it was a talking head video of myself, I would just go through and chop it up and add everything, or get that flowing nicely of just my talking head or my just talking video. And then I would go through after and add any supplemental footage on top of that. So in that situation, I do my A-roll first and then my B-roll in places where I would need it. Different things that I might need to cover up, or different things like that to kind of keep the flow of the video. If I were to do more of a short film or short sketch, I would probably, or I usually just take the footage and go sequentially. Let's see, for example, this is a short that is in progress, and let's see, how I edited this one was I went through and I lined up all of the footage and then just went through and chopped up the different layers. It's kind of confusing when you look at it like this. Let's see. So this one I probably got this whole clip and then decided to trim it and then put something else on top in order to just change the scene or whatever like that. So that's kind of my very long-winded and probably confusing answer to your question. And the last question that we have is what has been my favorite video to edit so far. That is a good question, and I'm probably going to have to say anything that is more of a short film or a sketch. They're just fun I film most of them. I've filmed all of the things that I've edited, really, except for one or two. So I film and edit. But my favorite thing to edit would have to be more narrative story stuff, like short films. This Side Down, the one with my friend, that one was pretty fun to edit. Also, Deep in the Roots, the one that I'm on right now, was also really fun to edit because it turned out super awesome. It's not maybe Hollywood quality, but it is pretty good. And just seeing your project just kind of pan out how you want it to is really it's really exciting. So getting this one, let's go through and watch a little bit of this one.
I'm gonna go get ready for bed.
What are you reading?
Just a murder mystery I got from the library.
Sounds creepy. Well, I'm sure your prom date will be happy to know that you are well educated on murder mysteries.
What prom date?
So you don't have one. Well, I would be happy to fill the position if it's not already filled.
Careful. Don't want to ruin your reputation by taking the less popular friend to prom. Don't you want to take Jess?
Okay, there's a sneak peek of a short film coming out this spring or maybe early summer, depending on when we get it finished. But just editing this, it just turned out super awesome, and yeah, it was really fun to edit. But yeah, that's that. So yeah, anything narrative and anything sketch or story-wise, just because they're so rewarding to edit. Also, after I had filmed this, I didn't know how the footage was going to end up looking. But when I came to this shot, this conversation between these two, and I started to color grade it, it just got me super excited. It was super awesome to see it turn out, because when I shot it, all I could see was this. And then when I added some of the effects and different color things, that's when it started being really, really awesome. So let's see. For example, this is how it looked at the before when I filmed it, and then I just added a few different things. This one brought down the shadows, brightened up the highlights, and then added what is called a LUT, which is basically a filter for your video, and then just a few touch-ups. So once I got it to look like this, I was super excited about it, and it just made me, I was smiling with joy because it still looks super cool, I think. So yeah, there's a sneak peek of something coming out in the summer, and no more spoilers today though. But yeah, so far we have one scene done, actually 2 scenes, and yeah, I'm excited to have it done. It's the first project that I've worked on with other actors that are not myself. Actually, that is a lie. That is, okay. The first project that I've worked on with 6 actors. So, it was a blast, and it's still going to be a blast once we get everybody back together. It was just super hard because everybody was students at school, at the university, and it was probably a miracle that we got everybody together the first night to film. But yeah, getting everybody there after this first night was difficult. Anyway, that is something upcoming later, or the early part of 2020. So something to stay tuned for. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And let's see, I think that about covers all the questions. Let me know if you have any last minute simple questions that I could answer real quick. If not, we'll go ahead and wind down this stream. And I really appreciate all of you coming, and hope it was enjoyable, and hopefully we can get more people to come in the future. We averaged about 6 people watching, which is pretty good. So yeah, I'll just wait for your last minute questions if you have any. If not, we'll go ahead and call it. We'll wait till 7:08 and then we'll call it. I'll just wait for your last minute questions if you have any. If not, go ahead and call it. So let's see. So it looks like the stream is about 30 seconds behind what I am. All right. Since we don't have any last minute questions coming in, I think we'll go ahead and call it there. Thanks everybody for joining me today. Oh, hold up. Okay, sorry about that. So, thanks everybody for coming. Hope you enjoyed this live stream and that you learned something about video editing. It's something that I really enjoy doing and hope to be able to teach more in the future. And yeah, so thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in my next video or my next live stream. And until then, see you later, and Happy New Year. Actually, a few days. Happy New Year.